Hey there, Zircon here, and this video marks the first rant of the channel. If you find enjoyment in videos like these, then you're in the right place. Yep, that's right, I've become that kind of YouTuber. Look on the bright side, it's a good way to practice with giving criticism and expressing opinions. But before we proceed with this rant, I will ask you a question to think about for a bit. Let's say someone on the internet has done many terrible things. The fact that they're racist, sexist, ableist, anti-LGBT, or any other kind of bigotry. Would the hate they receive be justified from an outsider's perspective? It's certainly understandable as to why the bigot gets hate. Is it right to be open about your hate against them 24/7? And not just bigots, but anyone who's done you wrong in the past or even now? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For this video, we will cover someone by the username inbowD0ggieUn. Rainbow is a gender-fluid demi-woman on Twitter with the username @girl98artist. She and I used to be mutuals. If I want to be honest, her profile wasn't really my cup of tea, and I'll be explaining why. To start things off smoothly, we'll be taking a look at her art first. Looking at her art at first glance tells me already that she, for a lack of a better phrase, still has room for improvement. If you draw like this and are aiming for realistic proportions and anatomy equivalent to one of your favorite animes, allow me to say, you still got a ways to go. I don't want to go too harsh on the art, but the anatomy is very off. Like every artist, you struggle with drawing hands a lot, with your best attempt in my opinion at doing so being in this image. But that's nothing new but a common struggle for almost all artists. From the front view, it appears that there's no chin for the characters. Seeing as there isn't any definition of one, it almost looks like their heads are implied to be light bulb shaped, which may be true, no matter for what angle the head is drawn at. The only times I can even imagine there to be a chin would be if the characters had something like any accessory or outfit covering the neck, or if they have a mask of some sort. Not to mention, the lips seen here look off too, as if they applied lipstick all over the upper and lower lips. It doesn't align well on this furry character's muzzle either. Now I know this can probably be countered with people saying, it's just my art style, but I'm not buying into that. I've seen many artists use that as an excuse for not getting anatomy and proportions done correctly, especially if that's what you want to aim for in the first place. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to add this since some artists really need to hear it. Without criticism and practice, your art won't improve and will stay the same as it's always been if you don't attempt at going the extra mile with working towards your goal. But the art itself isn't the main factor for why this video was made. We will get into that shortly. Why am I not surprised? For reasons, I won't say the name of who Rainbow makes hate art of, as you may already recognize who they are once you see them. Besides, the user is so infamous that they already have many rant and exposed videos done on them. Do keep in mind, I despise the person in question, and am not defending anything they have done in the past and recently. Right off the bat, you can see that she has such a huge grudge against, seeing as she's drawn their character killed multiple times. She also drew stuff for an event called Gourtober, where each day in October, she draws something gory and/or creepy. But honestly, I can't really take it seriously with how her current style looks. It looks like a child made these, which, given the subject matter, would be very disturbing. Wait, how old is Rainbow again? You're 23 years old? You're a grown-ass woman, and you've had nothing better to do other than rant about all this time. I'm not making this up. Your tweets show clear evidence of that. How bored does one have to be? Listen, I understand that a lot of people really dislike after all they did, myself included. But do you see anyone else constantly being open about their grudge towards them and making gory hate art to express their frustration? No! And don't think I didn't see that you used your own birthday to make hate art on when you could have celebrated it any other way but that. It's like you make this grudge your entire personality. But that's not all. It gets even worse considering you found yourself to be a target by and their followers. I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but what you did only fueled the flames and had them come after you. Did nothing directly to you, but rather the group of people you fall under. Yes, I know it's disheartening to see how one can be filled with nothing but hate, but here's the deal though. I've dealt with countless drama in the past, ranging from being made fun of for simply expressing myself with my interests, or even one time where I was groomed. I thought it was right to get back at those who'd done me wrong for giving me a lot of mental damage at the time. But in the end, as much as I hate to admit it, I left my problems with one simple action. Or rather, lack of action. Ignoring it and moving on. Holding on to drama hurts more than letting go of it. The block button exists for a reason. Use it well. But I'm getting off topic. I understand your frustration with... But if you make a bunch of threats one way or another, publicly available for others to see, then don't be surprised when and their followers give you backlash for it. And it doesn't even have to be limited to people like... This applies to anyone on the internet. Again, this isn't the only reason I made a video on Rainbow. The next one may be a bit of a shocker, so brace yourselves. Oh man, what a fun turn of events this has become. It turns out that Rainbow Doggy Unicorn takes an interest in DDLG, also known as Daddy Dom Little Girl, and other forms of roleplay under that umbrella such as adult baby diaper lovers and age play. I know, I shouldn't be one to kink shame. However, what I especially find disturbing in this is that Rainbow has admitted to hypersexuality in one tweet, and that she's, I quote, pointed out to some kids about those forms of roleplay not being pedophilia. This part may be debatable, but the wording for this tweet is poor, especially as you've admitted to having hypersexuality. Perhaps you shouldn't even be around kids knowing this. You're 23 years old, aren't you? Now look, while I do acknowledge that not all instances of DDLG and such are inherently sexual, and that it's supposed to be between two consenting adults, it still doesn't sit right with me that one of them plays the role of a child, especially if sexual. That really does sound like nothing but sugar-coated pedophilia if you ask me. But don't just take my word for it, ask anyone else outside of that community whether or not it's diet pedophilia, and I'm certain one or more will say yes. This brings us to the conclusion of our rant, where the user I've gone over will be given suggestions on what to do to be a better person. But before we get through with that, let me just make it clear that I'm just one person. One person's video with criticism on you should not be treated like it's the end of your career or reputation. Firstly, your art could really use some improvement. If one wants to aim for realistic human anatomy and proportions, then I highly suggest looking at some tutorials on how to do so. Maybe even attend some art college courses. If it requires you to put in extra work and even try different art styles, you'll just have to put up with it. Regardless, any hard work is essential to improve on your art style so it doesn't look like the Powerpuff Girls and Barbie had a crossover all the time. Secondly, if you have an interest that is seen as problematic and/or makes many uncomfortable, then it may be wise to keep it private and between those you trust with it. I shouldn't really shame people for finding enjoyment in anything as long as it doesn't hurt others or is illegal in any sense. Though if the majority wants you to stop, then so be it. Last but not least, the hate art needs to be put to a rest. For a really long time, I know you've expressed your frustrations against, but the hate art doesn't make the situation any better. In fact, you found yourself in trouble. If making hate art helps you feel better at all in any way or form, then I won't stop you. But I would recommend you keep it private so you don't get yourself into any more problems. Lives rent-free in your head to the extent where you find an opportunity to make hate art on them on occasions, such as your own birthday, maybe it's time to consider getting help for that. Also, for the aforementioned hypersexuality, or find another coping mechanism. Well, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. If you want to see more in the future, feel free to subscribe. This is Zircon signing off with a friendly reminder. Glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever.